Okay, let's just jump right in with a number that is, well, it's pretty staggering. A full 80% of people on the autism spectrum struggle with sleep. It's one of the most common challenges they deal with, but for some reason, it's rarely the main part of the conversation.
But here's the question that's changing everything we thought we knew. Is that nightly battle the same for men and women? The latest science is screaming from the rooftops that it's not even close. And with that, welcome to Sleepedia, a corner of the internet dedicated to the science of sleep and circadian rhythms.
Here's our journey for today. We're going to uncover why the autistic brain can feel like it has a broken off switch. We'll explore the absolutely exhausting toll of something called masking. Then, we'll get into the data and reveal the startling sleep gap between the sexes. And most importantly, we're going to finish by building a sleep plan that actually works with neurodivergent biology, not against it.
All right, first things first. To really get a handle on this sleep problem, we have to go deep to the root of it. And spoiler alert, this isn't about behavior. This is all about biology.
At its very core, autism is simply a different way of processing the world. The brain is often described as being hyper-connected. I want you to imagine your sensory system. Your sight, your hearing, your sense of touch has a volume knob, and that knob is cranked to 11 all the time. Now you can imagine what that's like, right? This constant state of high alert, of always being ready for a fight or flight response, well, it's the absolute #1 enemy of rest. I mean, how can you possibly power down when your entire system never, ever stops scanning for threats?
So here's where it gets really interesting. How does this sensory experience become gendered? Well, for decades, pretty much our entire understanding of autism was overwhelmingly male-centric.
We used to operate on this classic 4-to-1 ratio, 4 diagnosed boys for every 1 girl. But what we're finally realizing is that this probably had way more to do with our diagnostic blind spots than with actual biology. Autistic women were always there. They were just hiding in plain sight. And they do this through an incredible survival strategy called masking. It's a conscious or sometimes subconscious effort to hide autistic traits. We're talking about forcing eye contact when it's physically uncomfortable, scripting out conversations ahead of time, mimicking other people's social cues, all just to navigate a world that wasn't designed for them. And while it's an unbelievable feat of adaptation, one of our sources put it perfectly. It comes at a massive cost. And that cost is total and utter exhaustion. Think about your social battery after a long party. You feel drained, right? Well, for an autistic woman who's been masking all day, that battery isn't just at 0. It's deep in the negatives, totally in the red. And that kind of bone-deep burnout follows them right into the bedroom. And this is the crucial point. These profoundly different daily experiences create profoundly different nightly ones. And when you look at the actual data, wow, it paints an incredibly clear picture of this divide. Just take a look at this. The size of this gap is just massive. While a really significant 66% of autistic males report sleep problems, and that's a lot, that number absolutely skyrockets to a staggering 85% for autistic females. This isn't a minor difference. It's a major health crisis that's been hiding in plain sight. And it's not just if they struggle, but how they struggle. For men, these sleep issues often manifest as things like daytime anxiety and what we call externalizing behaviors. But for women, the struggle is so often intensely internalized. A powerful resistance to even going to bed, really high levels of anxiety about sleep itself, and that classic racing mind that just will not shut off.
And believe it or not, these differences go all the way down to our brainwaves. Studies show autistic boys tend to have more fragmented, interrupted sleep. But girls? They show alterations in their sleep spindles. Now, these are tiny bursts of brain activity that are absolutely crucial for staying asleep and for locking in memories from your day. So if those are altered, it means their brains just aren't getting the same quality of deep, restorative rest.
And this right here is exactly why that generic sleep advice you see everywhere so often fails. When the problem is rooted this deep in your neurology, telling someone to just relax isn't just unhelpful, frankly, it's dismissive.
So why does that well-meaning advice, like just keep the room dark and quiet, feel completely useless to so many? It's because it doesn't address the core issue at all: sensory processing.
Let's talk about a part of the brain called the thalamus. The best way to think about it is as the brain's sensory gatekeeper. In a neurotypical brain, this gatekeeper does a fantastic job of filtering out all the irrelevant stuff. The hum of the refrigerator, the tag on your shirt, the distant traffic. It decides what to mute so you can focus or, in this case, fall asleep. But in the autistic brain, that gate is often stuck wide open. Every little sound, every flicker of light, every unexpected texture gets through at full volume. And for women, who often experience even higher sensory sensitivity, this isn't just an annoyance. It can feel like a full-blown physical assault, turning the bedroom from a sanctuary into a battlefield. So, if we know the problem is biological and sensory, then the solution has to be too. It's time to stop fighting your brain and finally start working with it.
So let's talk action plan. Here's a 3-step plan grounded in science and designed specifically for the neurodivergent nervous system. First, we're going to create a sensory diet. Second, we'll schedule a demasking hour. And third, we'll incorporate some structured movement to build up that essential sleep pressure.
Okay, step 1. Your sensory diet. This is all about actively and intentionally calming your nervous system. Deep, grounding pressure from a weighted blanket can literally signal safety to your body. For sound, you might want to try brown noise. It's like white noise but with a deeper, more rumbling quality that's even better at drowning out startling sounds. And of course, temperature regulation is absolutely key. Step 2, and this one is so important, schedule a demasking hour. This is non-negotiable. It is 1 hour before bed with absolutely zero social expectations. No small talk, no performing for anyone. This is dedicated time for your brain to finally unclench and allow all those stress hormones, like cortisol, to finally drop. And step 3, incorporate structured movement. Research shows that autistic girls often have lower levels of vigorous physical activity during the day. So engaging in what's called heavy work, and this can be things like using resistance bands, doing some yoga, even carrying groceries. It helps build that physical fatigue, that sleep pressure that your brain needs to finally say, okay, it's time to sleep.